asking to be relieved of the normal procedure for subdivision land development or whatever, with putting in preliminary application and going to the Planning Commission in a timely manner and so on and so forth, and that you're not going to be able to walk in and bypass those parts of the procedure.
Well, because I'm not familiar exactly with all the procedure and what Ms. Brown's going to say, I don't really know what's involved. I mean, for example, if you've got a lot in the borough that permits a house to be built, does it go through the Planning Commission? And I just don't know. So, yeah, I expect to do what would be normal. The difference is that, again, I can't say, look, we're going to design this whole thing before we even address the state store. We just don't have that luxury.
Okay. So I'd like to allow the public to be heard on some of this now. Let's first consider the situation of the state store and whether the mind of the borough is that this is a project to be encouraged, that we would like to keep the state store here, or we don't care whether the state store stays here. I think that let's start with that. If anyone would like to speak to that, please come up.
Who wants to admit they want alcohol in Newtown?
I hate this.
Oh, there we go.
Hi. I'm Jeannie Heckel. I live on Penn Street, and I didn't know this was going to be a topic. So, but I do have some questions that I think have to be addressed with respect to a state store and whether Newtown Borough wants to keep it. I was with some women last night, and they were suggesting that the township also has room for a state store. And I guess a question I would have, conceptually it might seem nice to be an anchor to have a state store in Newtown Borough. There may be other types of retailers that might be more attractive, as attractive. I don't know enough about how a liquor store differs from a Trader Joe's or something like that, where, is there, because it's a state store, do we receive the same type of tax base or revenue as opposed to another type of retail operation there? So is a state store advantageous, or is it disadvantageous to us as a tax revenue? So that's one question. Another question, traffic study. It's a nightmare getting in and out of the state store on Center Avenue. A bigger operation emptying out on State Street and funneling into some of the residential areas is a concern for me. And I have a question about, if we look at this as a standalone project, my question would be, would you, Alan, be happy if the rest of the project was scaled back for whatever reason dramatically? I have these terrible visions in my mind of what Toll Brothers had done to the Council Rock School District and other things when people said, we want a cemetery, and if you want a cemetery for veterans, you're going to have to give us this, 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 and this. So I don't want us to be held hostage to future zoning variances or being willing to live with the traffic and a huge scope of a project in order to keep a state store. So those are just some of my comments for now.
Why don't we get the public, and then if they're, can answer questions in aggregate there.
Joe Lovey, North State Street, 151. Jeannie, I can explain the difference between a state store and Trader Joe's. You can't buy grappa and exclusive type of alcohol and so forth at a state store at Trader Joe's. I think the type of wines that they're offering are totally different. One minute we are pro retail, and the next minute when we have a guy who wants to invest, we find every way to shoot it down. Confuses me, but we have a state store. It seems like it built a resume for us that I guess I never knew that. It's the #1 state selling alcohol in Pennsylvania. Maybe we're all alcoholics, I have no idea. But we have it. I think it's good. It's something that we have a component here, and why pass a great business-making place and give it to somebody else? I don't understand it. And from my understanding is, gentleman just wants to build a state store in a different location. Retail is retail. I would assume the traffic will be the same amount of traffic because the same amount of people are going to buy the same amount of alcohol. And let's go on with it. But hopefully we don't get tied up in Trader Joe's and State Store with totally two different animals. Thank you.
Dave Callahan, Court Street and Newtown Hardware. I've been at the hardware store. I've owned it since Alan has had the State Store, and it brings a lot of traffic into town. Not car traffic I'm not talking about. I'm talking about traffic for the retail community. And boy, I'll tell you, if we lose it, it's going to hurt the business district. So I'm all for it.
Eric Johnson, 242 South State Street, probably the closest person to this property other than Mr. Sellers. I'm all in favor of this. I've said all along that I'm in favor of this whole project going forward. I think it's good for the... I think we will have something there sooner or later. We know Mr. Smith's track record. We know it's a good record. I don't think he'll do anything that's going to be detrimental to the town. Granted, he is a businessman, and a businessman tries to make as many business decisions as he can. That's understood, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, no matter what happens, something's going to go there. And if we can control what goes there and put something that's going to be good for the borough, good for the borough coffers and the residents of Newtown, and we already know that the State Store is a tremendous revenue maker, I think we should entertain strongly and try to work with our developers the best we can. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Becky Betts from Becky's Newtown Deli on State Street, and I've had a business there for a long time, and as well as being a good customer of the liquor store, they're very good customers of mine, and I would like to keep them there.
Mary Jane Leonard, East Center Avenue. I am certainly in favor of keeping the liquor store in Newtown. I like to walk to it, and it's really a convenience for us old folk. But I wondered about the design, and I know it was hard to see, but one of the questions I have is, would this be close to the road so that parking would be behind it, and would it be a driveway entrance to it rather than depending on a new road, the new road that you intend to build with the project? Because I could see that that might hold up development of this particular project. So that was just a question I had about the design.